Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight, dieting, and constantly feeling like you're starting over with nutrition and fitness? Do you wish you had more energy? Do you want to lose weight and finally keep it off for good? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse. I too have been there, and at the age of 44, I decided I was done with fad diets and chasing a lower number on the scale. I was so tired of constantly starting over and wondering why I couldn't get lasting results. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best formula for women who want to build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, the scale, and your body, let's build your formula for feeling your best. If you're new here, make sure to check the episode details for the link to my newbie starter guide. You'll receive an email straight to your inbox with everything you need to start building your Feel Your Best formula. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to this week's Feel Your Best Formula podcast. I am Lil, and today it's just me. If you have not listened to last week's episode with Emily Reamer, it was amazing, and I've gotten so much positive feedback from you guys that you just absolutely loved the episode. And I am working on getting more guests on this podcast over time because I don't want you to just constantly only be listening to me. There's so many other people out there with such great advice, and I want to bring them on here. But today you're stuck with just me. And we're going to be revisiting a topic that we talk about a lot on here, but we're going to talk about it a little bit differently. And today we're talking about how you can make 2024 your year by harnessing the power of routines. And of course, we've talked about habits and routines many times. And today we're really going to focus on how powerful they can truly be when you use them appropriately to create consistency with the habits that actually move the needle for you. So today we're talking about leveling up your morning routine to specifically includes the habits that will help you build muscle, lose fat, and make it easy to stick to. And we're going to talk about how the evening routine is the other side of that coin, where you are supporting yourself by making it easier on yourself to implement that morning routine that you decide on. Now, I want to start off by sharing this quote. I shared this on my Instagram the other day, and I want to share it here. Because do you ever just read a quote and it just kind of slaps you in the face and you got to read it again because you think, wow, this is just really powerful. So here's the quote. The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. All right. The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. And this is attributed to a gentleman named Samuel Johnson. So when we look at this quote, I think there's a few different perspectives that you can look at it with. And that's why it's a powerful quote, because it kind of makes you stop and think. Number one, you can think of your habits as chains that are keeping you where you are and are so solid that you're stuck. And that's why you don't even realize how strong those chains are that are holding you down until you try to break free from them and move on and create new habits. And then you realize how ingrained these habits are and how hard it is to break away from them. And I also think of chains in the way of linking habits, creating a chain where each day is a link in the chain, and you want to create strength in the chain by not missing a day where it's connecting those links. And you're creating this strong chain by linking one day after another and another and another, because that's how you create powerful outcomes. That's the compound effect, right? And when you kind of sort of do things when you feel like it or when it's convenient or easy, you're not going to get the same outcome that you get versus being intentional and mindful and harnessing the power of consistency. And that's really all routines are just consistency. Routines are things that you repeat and do over and over. Think of a dance routine. When someone is practicing for that dance routine, the first time they practice it, it's hard. They forget a step, they forget a beat, they forget a certain move, they forget what comes next, right? But over time, it's called a routine because it's repetitive, and slowly but surely, they get to a point where they don't even have to think about it. Their mind and their body just knows what comes next. There's no effort. It's just a very natural flow state. And that's what we want to create with your morning routine and your evening routine. Because at the end of the day, if you don't create a routine for yourself, you're going to have one assigned to you anyway. And your routine is probably just going to be a reaction to external forces in your life, whether it's your job or your children or your partner or your friends or other family members. Your day-to-day life is merely going to be you responding to all these other things in your life versus you sitting in the driver's seat and deciding what your daylight looks like, right? And it's important to ask yourself, when I talked about practicing that dance routine, how many times are you going to need to practice your routine? So keep this in mind as we go on with the episode. How many times are you going to need to practice it before it sticks? Because I assure you, it's not going to be one time. And we're all different. And that's why a blanket statement like, it takes 21 days to create a habit. I mean, maybe it does. I think one study showed it creates 64 days. Another study might show it takes 40 days. Because again, it's all about the people that are in the study, and you are a unique person. And that's why you got to figure out for yourself, how many times do you need to practice this habit until it simply becomes part of you, just like that dancer. Her routine becomes completely mindless and she just knows what to do, right? So don't get overwhelmed or anxious here. I think it's so important to remind yourself that you're not going to need motivation for the habits to become part of your identity. So while you absolutely should expect that new habits will be challenging and will require more effort and practice when you start, also understand that there will come a day when you just wake up and realize this is just who you are now. And that is a very, very cool moment. It's subtle. It might surprise you, but when it happens, it is so empowering because it's something you've been working towards. And from there on, everything just becomes easier. And if you've had a hard time sticking to habits, this is why you just never practiced enough or got to the point where they were an integral piece of your identity and just something, that was part of you versus something you were doing. And perhaps in the past, you've had a temporary mindset. You signed up for like a 12-week program or a 12-week boot camp or a 30-day challenge. And there's like this timeline on it where you're kind of like off the hook in a certain amount of time. And that's why I'm not a fan of those types of challenges. Like, yes, absolutely challenge yourself to try new things. In fact, when you start building new habits and routines, it's all about experimenting and challenging yourself. But please don't put a timeline on it. That is going to be an absolute death trap for creating the long-term habits that you desire. Go into it with the intention that you're creating a lifelong habit, or honestly, don't do it at all. Because if you're looking at things as being temporary, why are you even bothering? You're just wasting your time, and you're not doing your physical or mental health any favors by having an all in or all out mentality. And my hope for you, for the key takeaway for you today, is to help you take that next step and maybe create a higher level of awareness in your day-to-day routines and how you can actually use them to create an outcome that you desire, that you've been thinking about, and you weren't really just sure how to create the time and energy in your life to get that done. So we're going to talk about how to do that. Remember that routine inherently means consistency, and that's what you want, right? Like, let's make it clear that the entire point of creating these routines is so that you can build muscle, lose fat, and create long-term sustainable results within this magical routine in your morning and evening. And because it's important to you, you can build those habits in there into your day, instead of trying to, on a daily or weekly basis, ask yourself, oh my gosh, when am I gonna make this happen for myself? It's all about harnessing this time in your day to build a lifestyle with your specific goals in mind. So when it comes to understanding the power of routines, here's the thing. The number one reason most of you are not currently implementing the habits that you would like to have to get you the results that you say you want to achieve, it's because you feel like you don't have enough time. I don't have enough time is the number one thing that I see as, women fill out my forms or come to me for help. They just feel like they don't have enough time. And this is all about focusing on your daily morning and evening routines so that you are taking control and creating the time. This means it's not about looking at your calendar and wondering when you're going to get that next workout in and trying to squeeze it in somewhere. It's about deciding you're going to wake up. Perhaps you even need to wake up an hour or more earlier, and building that workout plan into your morning routine, planning your food choices during your evening routine the night before. And we're going to dive deeper into these things. But overall, this is my message. You're creating consistency by no longer haphazardly hoping to make these things happen for you. You are being intentional and taking control. So you might not think you have a routine right now, but you do. And you probably do the same thing most days. You probably order the same thing at specific restaurants when you go to them. Humans are inherently creatures of habit. And when I talk about how powerful routines can be, it's because they can help you maintain structure, which then reduces stress and improves productivity. And when you have routines, you are decreasing the need for just decision making, and you're decreasing the obstacles and friction that stand between you and actually executing those habits that you say you want to have. So when you have a routine, you are not going to have that mental chatter asking yourself, should I do a workout today or should I not do a workout today? Should I have some oatmeal and eggs or should I skip my breakfast and just have coffee? These types of decisions are already made for you, and eliminating this mental chatter is probably one of the most underrated benefits of my Feel Your Best formula, because right now you don't even realize how much that mental chatter is distracting you, stressing you out, and weighing you down. But once you silence it, you are going to have so much more mental space for the more enjoyable pieces of your life and thoughts in your head. When you create intentional routines, you're going to see both physical and psychological benefits that then have a ripple effect on so many other areas of your life. Anyone can harness the power of their mornings and evenings. It's just up to you to decide what that looks like. And routines can create more certainty, and you will feel more in control of your day and therefore your life. And isn't that what everyone wants? When it comes to establishing your morning routine, that's what we're going to start with here. It means doing the things that move the needle and building it into a repeatable pattern. And when it comes to building muscle and losing fat, your morning routine is an opportunity to do a strength workout and eat a high protein breakfast with 30 to 50 grams of protein, depending on your macro plan, and also eating enough calories so that you're not going to be hungry until lunchtime. These are the foundational pieces of building muscle. You got to do your strength training workout, and you got to eat your protein, and you got to eat enough calories. So you're checking the boxes right there of getting done what you need to get done to get the results that you want. And I eat 3 meals a day. So breakfast, that's 30% right there, done. That food choice is completed. You only have 2 more food choices and maybe a snack somewhere in your day. But if you do what I do and eat large and filling meals, then you don't have to make a lot of food choices throughout the day. On your rest days, because I don't recommend working out, strength training 7 days a week, absolutely not. But taking that time. So if you're waking up earlier to get your strength training workout in, on the days that you're not doing your strength training, maybe you have some flexibility to do some yoga or Pilates or getting some extra steps in, or heck, maybe just sleeping in that day and getting some extra sleep. So you can still have a routine. It just might look a little bit different on the days that you do your strength training workout versus how you want to spend the other 3 or 4 days of the week that you are not strength training. And you can still use that morning routine to get you towards your goals. And sometimes sleeping is the best thing you can do to help you build muscle and lose fat. If you're serious about building habits that matter and you want to do the habits that are going to give you a strong and healthy body, look at your morning routine to get it done. And here's the thing. I don't know what time you need to wake up in the morning. I'm a mother right now to teenagers, and at this point, my kids drive. They don't need a lot of help or hand-holding when it comes to day-to-day life. They just need kind of like some oversight. I guess I'm more of a manager than being in there and, doing things for them. But when I first started building my morning routine and workouts, they were little and they needed me to literally, help them with their morning routine and getting dressed and brushing their teeth and all those things. So at that point in my life, I had to wake up at 4:45 a.m. This is what I needed to do so I could fit a workout in before they woke up, and I had to get everyone out the door. I had to take a shower. I had to get myself to work. And unfortunately, I had to wake up at 4:45 a.m. during that time in my life because that's just what my life looked like at that time. And I've gone through many stages, and my morning routine start time has shifted anywhere from that early 4:45 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. to now where I wake up at 6 a.m. and I don't do my workout until 7:30 a.m. And I'm just sharing this to say you just need to do what you need to do. And if you need to wake up at some ungodly hour right now, because that is the only time in your life that you can control having that extra hour in your day, then that might be what you need to do. And remember, you only need to strength train somewhere from 2 to 5 days per week. So it doesn't have to be every day, right? So maybe just 2 days a week, you're waking up at 4:30 a.m. It doesn't need to be every single day. It's hard to give you specific, I can't tell you, some people say you need to wake up at 5 a.m. Well, I'm telling you right now, if you're a nurse and you're working day shift that starts at 7 a.m., waking up at 5 a.m. probably isn't going to be early enough if you're deciding to work out, on the days you work an 8-hour shift. I would not encourage you to do a workout if you're doing a 12-hour shift. I would say save it for your off days. But I can give you this information, but you've got to coach yourself. You've got to look at your day-to-day life. When I coach my clients, I have access to that information and exactly what their day looks like, and I can give them very specific individualized suggestions for them to experiment with. But for you, just listening to this podcast right now, just think to yourself, what do I need to do right now? And even if it's really going to suck, I'm telling you, waking up at 4:45 a.m., it's not great, but sometimes it's just what you need to do. And could you do that 2 days a week consistently? That's all that matters, right? Okay, let's move on. We're going to talk about the evening routine now because it goes hand in hand with the morning routine. If you're serious about making change, then the evenings is a fantastic time to set yourself up for success for the next day. Here's a few things I suggest to my clients to make the morning easier the next day, but these are things that you're going to do at night. And remember, you're much more likely to follow through on your morning routine if you eliminate as much friction as possible. So, number one, you really got to know what your schedule is the next day. I always check my schedule for the next day. I check it at the end of my workday and I kind of map things out, decide what I'm doing. I get very specific about what workout I'm doing and what time I'm doing it. Set up your workout area at night. Do you need to pull out your workout clothes, socks, sports bras, sneakers, and a hair tie? I can't tell you how many times I've run around searching for a hair tie or socks at 5 a.m. And I've learned the hard way, the little things, making sure you have all those things ready, it is such a game changer when it comes time to waking up. And you might go to bed and think, oh, I can grab everything in the morning. I know what I'm going to do. Just do it the night before. It is you, again, being a best friend to yourself. And ask yourself, how can I make my nutrition easier for tomorrow? Can you set up your breakfast, kind of pull out any of the non-perishables that you're going to need? And also think to yourself, can I pre-track my meals? If you're following a macro plan, it's so helpful if you can pre-track your meals so that you don't worry about hitting your protein goal or your fiber goal. Do you need to pull some meat out of the freezer the night before? Do you know what you're making for dinner the next night? Do you know what you're having for lunch? Can you make yourself a lunch? And the better you get at this habit, again, the easier it's going to become. Then it comes to all these little ancillary habits that add up and make it easier to eat healthy and work out, like doing a quick cleanup and organizing, running the dishwasher every night. Many of my clients start new habits like this, cleaning out their sink, cleaning off their kitchen counters, setting up their workout area, and they just love how it makes the mornings so much easier and pleasant to, walk into your living space. And it's just calm, peaceful, and you feel like you're starting the day off on the right foot because of what you did the night before. The evening might also be a great time to get some steps in or possibly a workout, right? I'm not saying everyone needs to do a morning workout. I'm just saying through my observation, it is much easier, especially if you're a beginner and new to creating consistency with your fitness, that doing a morning workout is going to be so much more effective for you than waiting until the afternoons and the evenings. But if you're just looking to get some steps in, you could, go outside for a walk after dinner or hop on the treadmill. And again, building it into your routine is what makes the difference, not just haphazardly deciding each day, oh, am I going to do this or am I not going to do this? And I know it can be tempting to just flop down on the couch and scroll or watch TV, but you're going to be so much happier in the morning if you do just set aside 10 to 15 minutes to set yourself up for success the night before. I also think sleep is not really talked about enough, or often people think it's a badge of honor to get less sleep and do a workout instead. And sleep is where the magic happens when it comes to building muscle and losing fat. It's an integral piece of the process. And I know not everyone says, people are telling you, sleep experts are like, don't watch TV, don't scroll on your phone. But I'm going to be honest with you. I do both of those things right before bed, and it has had zero negative effect on my sleep. Most days I sleep like a baby unless something is going on in my life that's kind of stressing me out. But if you find it hard to fall asleep after watching TV, then maybe you need to read instead or find another way to help you fall asleep. There's so many tips out there. But if you're experimenting, just see what works for you. And if you're struggling with sleep, this is definitely an area I suggest putting some effort into figuring out. I personally only used to sleep 5 or 6 hours at night. And it's because I stayed up way too late wanting to have my me time. And once I started working out, I was just so much more tired and ready for bed. And I started going to bed earlier. And now I go to bed between like 9:30 and 10 and I sleep until 6. And I love sleeping. It just has such a positive ripple effect on everything else in your life. And if you need to cut out alcohol, increase your activity level, these are all things that can make it really so much, have such a positive impact on your sleep quality. Okay. While we've stressed the importance of these routines and creating consistency, we also have to talk about how important flexibility is for you to truly have a healthy lifestyle. In particular, when you do things like go on vacation or attend a wedding or fall sick, and you end up being outside of your normal routine, it's really important to understand that a healthy lifestyle allows for things like taking a break, taking off, a week on vacation, and not tracking your food, not doing your workouts. And you should be including what's known as a deload week every few months where you actually don't lift heavy for a week or so. That is something that is really prescribed within the strength training community, that sometimes you just got to give your body a break so that you can come back stronger. A healthy lifestyle is not about being rigid and strict. I've discussed my own struggles with orthorexia in the past, and orthorexia is just an unhealthy obsession with healthy habits, and I never want to go back there. Please remember that even when you build these routines, you're just aiming for like 85 to 90%. You're not aiming for perfection. You're probably not going to be able to check off all the items on your morning routine every single day or your evening routine. But if you're hitting, 85 to 90% of them, 85 to 90% of the time, you can be assured that you're gonna be moving the needle and reaching your goals eventually. And remember that you should expect that it's going to be challenging when you're a beginner, and that the more you practice, the easier it's going to become. And I can't say if it will take you 5 times or 100 times of practicing, but I promise that when you build habits that work for you, it just becomes a part of who you are. I'm a testament to that. I did not have the habits that I have today even 3 years ago. I have changed my habits. I've changed my thoughts. I have changed my perspective. I've let go of so much that was weighing me down. And it's truly the best feeling in the world. But it starts with you having the belief within yourself that you can change. And if you don't believe that you can change, then you're not going to be able to. It's just as simple as that. All right, so I hope I was pretty clear about the difference in discussion between the content on this episode about routines versus other episodes where we've talked about habits and routines. Because, when it comes to your morning routine, you could, use that time to just like get a nice warm cup of coffee or tea and write in your journal and have some alone time and do some gratitude or meditation. And while that sounds absolutely lovely, I want you to use your morning routine to actually do something that helps you move the needle, right? And to be honest, for most of you listening, that means scheduling time for a workout or getting in some extra steps or packing a healthy lunch and having that filling breakfast. It's really nice to do those things, maybe light a candle, have some quiet time for yourself. But if you really want to build confidence and, enjoy your life, it does take doing things that are not quite so easy. And you need to work out, eat your protein, and live an active life in order to make those changes. And it's just really nice to do those other things that you see so often on YouTube. Content creators have this whole elaborate morning routine with a candle and an evening routine with a bathtub and a 10-step skincare routine. For most of us, that is not a reality. And doing things like that might feel good in the moment, but they're not actually going to lead us towards those goals that we say we want to achieve. Do you want to feel good? Do you want to change how your body looks and feels? Do you want to have more energy? Well, then guess what? You need to be more active, you need to lift weights, and you need to nourish your body through proper diet. So that is my message to you. Harnessing the power of your routines in the morning, in the evening, so you are just plugging in exactly what you need to do so that you can reach your goals. And I hope this episode really encourages you to prioritize the things that really matter, the things that are going to make a difference for you, because keeping promises to yourself is what builds self-confidence. And sometimes this means letting go of the things that you're already doing that are good so that you can start doing things that are great. And if you are constantly telling yourself, I'm going to start working out, I'm going to start eating healthy, and it never happens simply because you haven't created the time and space and energy in your life for it, then I'm telling you, start by building it into your daily routines. All right, that's it for today's episode. I am so thankful for you listening, and I was so excited to do a bit of a deeper dive into actually giving you action steps on making your morning routine and evening routines work for you. I hope that this episode is going to help you level up and make 2024 the year that you really feel solid in your habits and build that healthy lifestyle that you desire. And just a reminder, if you scroll down to the episode details, you can always find the link to my coaching application to connect with me, and you can follow me on Instagram at Macros with Lil. If you're new to the podcast and this is your first episode, please hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any future episodes. All right, have the best week, and I will see you back here next week for a new episode. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to check the episode details for my new listener starter guide, and any additional resources mentioned in the episode can also be found in the show notes on my website. You can always find me on Instagram at Macros with Lil, and for more healthy lifestyle tips, recipes, and information on my one-to-one and group coaching services, make sure to check out my website. All the links can be found below. If you know someone else who is ready to start building their formula for feeling their best, please share the love and send them a link to the podcast. I hope you found today's episode helpful, and I'll see you back here next week for a brand new one.